Hi everyone, I am Angie Chua of Bobo Design Studio, and I am so excited to be here today to talk about travel journaling. And I am thrilled to be in the presence of Peggy and all of these other amazing creatives sharing their knowledge and excitement for their craft. And I cannot wait to dive into my favorite topic, which is travel journaling. But before I do that, I think it's important that you know who I am. So again, I am Angie Chua of Bobo Design Studio, and I am based in San Jose, California. And I create and design wanderlust-inspired stationery and lifestyle goods that encourage and enable people to go out and explore the world around them. In addition to that, I am a hand lettering artist and an illustrator, and just overall an arts and crafts junkie. So that's just a little bit about me. But let's talk more about travel journaling. Over this next 15 minutes, we are really going to jam pack some fun and useful knowledge for you. And we're going to cover things like, what is travel journaling? And I'll talk a little bit about how I do it and the things that you can do to get started. I'll also dive into some of my favorite tools, like my favorite pens, things that I always carry when I'm on the road. Before we start, I fully acknowledge that travel seems a little bit out of reach right now. You know, we're looking at a post-pandemic world. So how does someone start a travel journal? And as much as it is centered around travel, I actually like to think of it as a place to document just new experiences in general. Because, for example, I'm born and raised here in San Jose, California. I've lived here my whole life. It's a beautiful place. And I still have not seen everything that I want to see in the greater Bay Area. You know, when you live somewhere, you don't do the tourist sites. You don't really go out and explore. And so I've used my journaling as a way to encourage me to go out and try new things, see new places, even if they're in my own backyard. So when we work through this and we start building out kind of our templates for what travel journaling looks like, just remember that it's less about the travel, but it's more about where can I document these new experiences and why is it so important to do it in this analog fashion? So with that said, I'm very excited to dive right in and show you where we can start. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is what is travel journaling. So travel journaling for me is taking the time to record events that are happening while I'm on the road. And sometimes people look, this is some imagery from my own travel journals, but sometimes people will tell me, I don't want to journal. Journaling is so much work. I don't know how to bullet journal. My writing is terrible. It seems like it takes too much time. You know what? I use Instagram. I don't really need to be writing stuff down. And I want to address some of these things. So first of all, I hate journaling. You heard it from me, the person who does hand lettering and illustrations and loves and makes stationery. I hate journaling, and I'll tell you why. I also have ADHD, which means that I have a hard time keeping up with journaling on a daily. I get obsessive and compulsive over all the wrong things, like how does it look instead of what am I actually writing and putting down in there. And so what I found is journaling is not for me. I don't need to be recording what I ate and how I felt and what I feel grateful for. Like, that's just not for me, but it works for a lot of other people. And I love looking at what they do, but that's just not for me. But I was tired of spending thousands of dollars going on trips and then not remembering where I had gone, where I had stayed, how much I spent, you know, what were the names of hiking trails or parks that I had gone to, especially if you're doing any foreign travel. Like, a lot of these names are maybe a little bit harder to remember. Then my husband and I started traveling through the US in our Wienerbago, which is our little tiny travel trailer. I'll just pop a little picture of it right here. And we started going to really obscure, like, roadside diners and like really random points of interest. And I wanted a better way of recording that information so that if someone asked me, hey, where'd you go? Where'd you stay? How much did you pay? That I could go back and remember. So this was really the start of how I started journaling. It's a blank notebook. And I, you know, wrote down the date, the location of where we stayed, kind of what we paid, what the temperature was like. Because that's another thing is sometimes people will go like, hey, I know that you went to Arizona in the winter. What was it like? And you're just trying to remember, like, I think it was cold. So it's kind of cool to have that information ready to go. So again, I'm not here to necessarily sell my journal, but I'm going to show you the important things that I put in my Wanderlust passport that you should be thinking about when you fill out and create your own. In every entry page that I create for my travel journals, I always want to include the date and or the date range, the location, and for me, this is, city and state. Where am I in the world on a map? I like to put the weather conditions, so the temperature. Here I put longitude and latitude, and really what that is, it's a place for you to mark something down if there's no address. So if you like to go camping and you have like a super cool secret spot, or maybe you have gone hiking and there was a really cool trail and you know what park it was in, but maybe you don't remember where the starting point was, that's a good place for you to write that down. And you can get that information very easily by going onto your phone and opening the Compass app, which is usually an app that's standard on every phone across every iOS. And you can screenshot your coordinates of where you are. And then I always put down the accommodations, which is the name of the hotel that I stayed at, the name of the campgrounds that I stayed at, the Airbnb. I'll put things like how clean the bathrooms were, how attentive the staff might have been, anything that I think will be useful for me in the future or a friend should they ask. And then I kind of write down and circle, overall, is it worth it money-wise? And overall, was it worth it value-wise? And then the rest is sort of open for you to kind of make your own and take pictures and ticket stubs and all those things and plop them in there. So one of the best things I can do to show you how you can fill your passport out is actually to show you an entry of my own. So this is from last year, 2019, and I went to Iceland. I was very excited and very fortunate to have a chance to travel with an artist residency. So I got to spend a week in Iceland, really taking in the land and teaching and learning from other artists from all over the world. So that was very, very cool. And I wanted to really clearly document that experience because this is a once in a lifetime thing. In the lens of using it for local experiences, what you would want to think about putting in, just like I would if I were traveling, is where did I go? What did I see that was really cool? So that I want to save. Receipts. Those are the kinds of things that you want to think about. I love going and traveling with my husband, who is right here, because he is like one of the funniest people I know. And most of the stuff that I end up writing down are a lot of like hilarious things he says and inside jokes. And I like to record that kind of stuff because those are the things that you're not going to remember, sometimes a week after you get back. And another cool thing about this is that by removing this whole social media element to recording your memories, does two things. One, I like to think of this as a living heirloom that I can take with me. And, if I ever have to pass it down, I can. And it's just a wonderful way to remember some of the cool things that I've done. And if you travel pretty infrequently and you fill it out, put it away, and then go on a trip again, like you get to go back and relive like all of these hilarious moments. So that's kind of a bonus, right? But also once you put something on social media, it's not really yours anymore, is it? It kind of belongs to everybody. And it's really hard to go back and find those things. I mean, if you were like me, I put a lot of stuff on MySpace and MySpace is gone. And now I have no way to collect some of those moments and those memories. So just because it's on social media and that's your choice to put things there, just know that that platform doesn't belong to you and it can go away at any moment, and so will those memories. So just be mindful of that. And the other thing is, if you're like me, you take thousands of photos on your phone that you will never go back and look at. Like I have so many photos, for example, of all of these cows at this little dairy farm that I went to in Iceland. And I'm never going to go back and look at these photos of these cows as much as I want to, and they're so adorable. I'm just not going to. So by doing this, it forces me to kind of pick my favorite moments, really narrow down and think about what was it about this experience that changed me or that was most important to me at that moment in time. And it really helps me kind of tune out the noise of the 1,001 photos of my milkshake and, this cow. So here's another spread that I want to show because I know what some people are thinking. My penmanship is not that great. I am not an artist. I cannot make my pages look like this. And that might be true, But that's okay, because this is for you. It's not for anyone else. And if it looks messy, that's okay, because it's really, when you come back to this, 1 month from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, and you go back and look at everything you put in there, I guarantee you, you are not going to say, oh, my penmanship is so terrible. What you're going to do is think about all the things that you actually wrote down and the memories that you wrote down. And so I really want people to remember, it's not about how it looks. This isn't a bullet journal. This isn't something that you share with the world. This is something for you. And so don't let the pressure of how it looks impact your wanting to start, because I know a lot of parents, I know a lot of couples that wish that they had recorded stuff and they didn't. And it's never too late. But if you're not artistic, there's ways around it. Maybe you're a picture person. I talk about on my Instagram, some of my favorite tools, which we'll get into again. I know we talked about some of the pens, but one of them is an Instax printer, and you can print from your camera roll. So you don't have to carry a Polaroid camera with you. And you can think about the images that you want to save. And so this doesn't necessarily take a lot of artistic talent. You just need to have some photos that you want to remember. Okay, so the 3 questions that I get asked the most often: 1, when do I fill this out? Do I fill it out while I'm traveling, or do I wait till I get home? What do I put in it? What sort of things do I want to record when I'm traveling? And what tools do I use, and what do I bring with me? So we are going to answer all of those questions right here, right now. So when do I fill it out? I think that the most important thing to remember is that it's not about when you fill it out, but it's more about what is it that you want to remember. So the question 1 and question 2 kind of go hand in hand. A good time is basically when it works for you, right? If I'm traveling abroad, sometimes you get to your hotel and you turn on the TV and nothing's in a language that you understand. And so sometimes that's a good time for you to just sit and have a little brain dump and write all the things that you did that day. And sometimes you're just so tired and you don't want to worry about it until you get home. And a way that I kind of handle that and make sure that I don't forget all the things that I want to remember is I just keep a note in my phone. And whenever I'm out and about doing stuff that I think I'm going to want to recall and write down later, I'll just put it in my notes app. And then when I have some time to sit down and really focus and put everything into the journal the way that I want, I'll then pull up that note. And then the other part is, what tools do I use? And I'm going to go through some of my favorites. I am in no way sponsored by any of these people. I don't get paid for recommending any of these items. These are just items that I truly love and that work really great with the passport that I've created, as well as to take on the road. So my kind of go-to brand for stuff is Tombow. So Tombow makes these dual brush pen sets that are super awesome because, 1, you don't have to think about what colors to bring. Everything is color coordinated and it comes in a nice set. Another reason I love these pens is they have 2 ends. So you've got your nice brush pen end. You can see that there. I'm going to do the thing that all those beauty bloggers do. And then it has another end, which is just a marker tip. They're water-based. They're easy to blend. They don't bleed through the pages. They're really, really fantastic value. And they'll last you a really long time. Sakura is my other favorite brand, and they make these micron pens, which many of you are very familiar with. I love these pens. They come in every size and they just write beautifully. I also like using their gel pens because, 1, these are great for the hand lettering part to create accents, but it's also good and doubles as a whiteout because if you are like me, I'm a terrible speller, which is not that great for someone who does hand lettering. I hope this gives you a little bit of a head start so you can get started right now. I'm going to link to a resource guide that has all the things that I talked about, including a blog post where I highlight the different types of photo printers that I like to use. For the miscellaneous outside of pens, I'm a big fan of stickers. I actually create and design a lot of stickers for the passport that are designed for travel. Washi tape is also a fantastic thing. If you're a rubber stamp person, rubber stamps are also a great way to commemorate and fill your pages up. So I'll provide a list and resource guide for some of my favorites. But in the meantime, I hope that you take this time, especially as we are, in new uncharted territory in terms of travel and new experiences and finding ways to keep ourselves entertained. that you use a journal to just write down those really cool and unique moments that you wouldn't normally have done, because I guarantee you, you will absolutely be thrilled that you remembered those things like a year from now. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am Angie, again, of Bobo Design Studio. I encourage you to follow me on my Instagram at Bobo Design Studio, and shoot me an email, send me a DM, whatever you might need. But I am here to help. I love wiener dogs and I love nachos. And if you want to talk about those things, I am down to clown with that too. So with that said, I want to thank everyone for their time. It's really hard to try and get all this information in remotely without seeing your faces, but I know that if you get started on this, you are absolutely going to love doing it, and it's going to encourage you to go out and do more new things so that you can record them. So with that said, I can't wait to see what you're doing. Feel free to tag me in anything that you create and share. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you, Peggy, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.